Hello, I'm Brad Hadank, and welcome to the final episode of the season for Sportspage. In this program, we talk with the athletes, coaches, and staff who work to make University of Central Missouri Athletics one of the premier college sports programs in the MIAA and Division II as a whole. This is Sportspage. Our first guest today is Jennies Golf head coach Chris Port, who is in his 13th season with the Jennies. Coach Port is currently the one and only head coach all-time of Jennies Golf, as he started the program during the 2012-2013 school year. Recently, Coach Port led the Jennies to a third straight MIAA Women's Golf Championship title. Earlier this season, Coach Port joined us during the fall season, and now he is back as a champion as the season continues. Coach Port, welcome back to Sportspage.
Brad, thanks for having me.
So last time you were on, you talked about how good of a fall it's been. Is that fall all the more important as you head into the spring? Is that something you build on and has led to this success?
Well, for us, the season, whether it's the fall or the spring, counts the same. So the body of work we do in the fall counts just as much as the body of work we do in the spring.
Last time you were on the show, you said, quote, "We love to get the wins," end quote, and you sure got one at the MIAA Women's Golf Championship. How did that one feel? Did that one feel any different than the prior two?
Yeah, I think that one probably was the easiest of the three. I wasn't very nervous for this one.
So now it is back-to-back-to-back titles. How does it feel to go three in a row?
Well, I think it's a credit to the kids that have been in this program for the last 3 years. You know, there's very little that I do at the golf course. These guys take care of the business, and so it is a credit to them that we've managed to win 3 in a row.
And you just talked about your student athletes. Is that what consistently keeps this program at number one?
Yeah, I think that the kids in this program have created a culture where they expect to win on a weekly basis. I don't think we ever show up to an event where we think, oh gosh, we're not going to win this week. So, and that's their culture. They've created that.
And you started this team back in 2012. You're the one and only head coach of Jennies Golf. Is this what you had envisioned back when you started this program? Did you ever think you could get to this point with the program?
I hoped we could. You know, I thought if we did it right that we could put the program in a position where we're consistently competing for championships. And so the last 3 years we've been pretty good at that.
When you go to a tournament like that, in any postseason tournament, the regular season doesn't really matter anymore. It's those 54 holes, best golfer in those 54 is going to win. Is that nerve-wracking at all for your team or for you as a coach, knowing that it needs to be those 54 holes that are the best?
No, I think that what we've really focused on all year is being ready for the tournament at hand, the round at hand. The kids don't get in front of themselves too much. You know, they know that they're going to have 54 holes to compete, so if they have a bad first round, there was no panic. You know, this year in the first round, I think we were a shot or two back, and nobody seemed to be concerned at all.
As a coach, how do you keep your players confident and consistent as the season goes, and especially in a tournament?
Well, I think the consistency and the confidence for the kids comes from the hard work they put in. I mean, you know, we tend to try to spread our events out with a couple weeks in between so that the kids can come home from an event and prep for the next event. And most of their confidence comes from the fact that they're prepared. They know they're prepared. For me, it's really keeping them focused and patient on the golf course is my job.
Looking at the Women's MIAA Golf Championship, what was working for your team in that tournament?
They were really focused. You know, they wanted that third tournament in a row. And I think the experience of having been there the last 2 years, nothing was going to rattle them. The weather was really not special the first 2 days. It blew 30 miles an hour both of those days, and they just went out and did their business. They knew the scores would be a little bit higher this week, and they weren't concerned about what their score was. They were just focused on one shot at a time.
Postseason golf is just a little bit of a different atmosphere than regular season golf. Could you talk me through those differences that you see as a coach?
Well, I think for our program, it's what they care about. We don't talk about it during the season, but I can promise you that when they come in at the beginning of the year, their focus is on the end of the year, not the tournaments that are going to be between the beginning of the year and the end of the year.
So talking about that, how important are those tournaments at the beginning of the year still? Because you talked about the postseason is the end goal, but how important is it to build up to that point in success?
Well, you know, winning's hard, and there's a lot of good teams that we play against throughout the year, and you've got to put yourself in those positions. And, you know, during the course of the year, we had some tournaments where we ran away with it. We had some tournaments where we had to come from behind to win, and we had some tournaments where we played really ugly and managed to get it done. And I think those are the experiences that when you get into the regional where it's 54 holes, top 4 teams advance, you know, those are the experiences that you're going to draw on depending on where you're at. If we're leading right out of the gate, well, we've got that experience. If we're having to come from behind, we have that experience. So that's where the regular season matters, is they get comfortable in that environment of competing for the wins, and they've done it 5 or 6 different ways, so they know what's going to happen at the regional.
Looking at you as a coach, especially during a tournament like the MIAA Women's Golf Championship, what especially are you doing during a tournament to help feed into that success?
Just managing everything that's going on. I probably coached less that tournament than I have at any tournament in my career. These guys know what they're doing. And, you know, there were a couple times where I needed to settle somebody down or give them a little pep talk, but generally speaking, they know how to go about their business and take care of it.
How does the coaching style vary from athlete to athlete? Is there ever a golfer you go up to and they don't want to see you, or vice versa?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of. There are several golfers that don't want to see me. You know, I mean, they're all different. And if we have a lot of veteran players in this program that, you know, I've been around for a lot of tournaments. Each of them needs certain things. You know, some of the kids need to get yelled at. Some of the kids need a pep talk. Some of the kids need to be left alone. So really, my job is figuring out what they're going to need during the course of the round and giving it to that.
Looking at practice leading up to the MIAA Women's Golf Championship, what did that look like? Was it just standard practice, or was there anything different that you were doing?
No, it really was standard practice. I mean, we have built a program that when you have time to get ready for an event, you focus on what you think you're going to need to do at that event, the kind of clubs and shots you're going to need to hit at that event. And we played the conference course in the fall, so we knew what to expect. And you know, this group of players really knows what they need to do. I don't really have to tell them much in practice.
And then your next event is the NCAA Division II Central Regional. That's at Kickingbird Golf Club in Edmond, Oklahoma. Starts on May 5th. That's almost 3 weeks after the MIAA Women's Golf Championship. What do you do in those 3 weeks leading up to this next tournament?
Well, we weren't real excited about the gap. I mean, it's hard. I mean, this time of the year, everybody's tired of practicing. Everybody wants to compete, but the practice grind has gotten a little old over the course of a full season. So, you know, we took 5 days off right after the MIAA to give them a break, kind of let them reset and get a little mental rest. And then this week we're going to go probably 3 days. And then next week we'll put in a full week of prep for the type of shots that we think we're going to need to hit down at Kickingbird. But less is more at this time of the year.
In a gap like that 3 weeks, do nerves or anxiousness build up during that time any more than normal?
I think that for a young team, you can get some nerves leading into this, but with this veteran group, no, they know what it looks like. They've been on the road for so many years that they know what the process looks like. They know what to expect when they get there, so I'm not too worried about that.
In that tournament, the NCAA Division II Central Regional is at Kickingbird Golf Club. How do you feel about that course?
I like it. It suits us well. The golf course is Bermuda. It's going to be firm and fast if it doesn't rain. Right now, the extended forecast doesn't show a lot of wind, which will be nice because it seems like the wind is blowing in every event we've played this spring. But no, I feel like it's a good track for us.
And you're talking about that wind, or that spring weather has kind of jumped on you this season. You had one event where you had to push it back a day, different things like that. How did that prepare you for where you are in this season?
Well, I mean, spring golf is spring golf. It's like this every year now. Again, this year it seems like every time we showed up at a tournament, it's blown 30 miles an hour. But generally, again, it's a veteran group. They've done it all. There are very few things that are going to surprise this group between now and the end of the season.
You've talked about the veteran group. On this roster, you have 6 athletes rostered. It's a really small roster. How have you found so much success with a smaller roster?
Well, you know, the smaller roster size came from a couple misses on our part in recruiting. We have a big group coming in next year, so our roster sizes will be back up. But it's a tight-knit group, and you know, they started the year with a pretty singular focus on what they wanted to accomplish, and they haven't wavered from that. So the fact that it's small hasn't been a real challenge.
And every single individual on your team got to go to the MIAA Women's Golf Championship with Reese Nimmo competing as an individual. Was that special to be able to take your whole entire team to a tournament like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's been the one nice thing about having 6 this year. We've basically, I think there have been 2 tournaments that we couldn't take an individual to, so our full roster has traveled almost the whole year. And for us next year, that experience for Reese will help her be a better player next year.
And you've talked about a veteran group. On the roster, you have 1 freshman, a sophomore, 2 juniors, a redshirt junior, and a senior. So only 1 individual is going to lose eligibility. So some could see that as a younger team. Is that how you see it, or do you see it as veteran all the way?
Well, it's veteran all the way because, you know, Nicole is our 1 senior, but she's basically played in the top 5 since she was a freshman. So she has, you know, 40-plus events under her belts going into this regional. So. And then our juniors, you know, Mia has played every event since she's been here, minus a couple that she missed with an injury. and then Libby's basically played the last 2 years full. So it's a veteran event group because they've got so many tournaments under their belt.
And you talked about your senior, Nicole Rallo. What has she meant to this Jennies golf program, especially as a senior?
Yeah, she's the heart and soul of the group. You know, she is the one that sets the tone, and she's the one that has helped set the culture for the last 4 years. So she's been a big part of our success over the last 4 years.
In your roster of 6 student athletes, 4 of them are from Missouri. What does that say about the strength of golf, especially in Missouri, the Show Me State?
Well, we've been really fortunate to get some really quality kids out of the state. You know, this coming year we've got a couple more kids coming from Missouri. We have a kid from Nebraska. You know, we're basically going to recruit the 8 states around us, and you know, we're looking for kids that are Division I quality players.
As you continue preparing for the NCAA Division II Central Regional, is there an overall message to your team at this time?
I think the message for them is we need to do what we've done all year and not vary from our routine, because it works, and it works really well.
In this time, 3-day tournaments are prevalent, especially postseason golf. How do you feel about the 3-day format as opposed to maybe a 2-day that you've seen earlier this season?
We prefer the 3-day, because generally if you're playing a 36-hole event, and somebody that maybe isn't as good as you can get off to a really hot start, and you may not have enough holes left to chase them down. But in a 54-hole event, the good teams tend to be the ones at the top of the leaderboard at the end of the week.
In those 3-day events, you miss a lot of school with that. How do your golfers stay on top of academics during that time?
Well, we've been very fortunate. The kids that we have in the program are really good academically. It's hard. I mean, that's one of the biggest challenges for freshmen coming into our program, is learning how to manage academics while they're on the road, because we miss a ton of class. I mean, for the regional, they'll miss the first 3 days of finals. So, they figure it out, and I've been very fortunate that they've all been really good students, and we've never really had to worry about academic issues.
Looking at yourself for a second, back in your college days, you were a Mules golfer under head coach Tim Poe, who's still the current coach for Mules Golf. Was Coach Poe a factor at all in you becoming a coach?
Yeah, I would say that he had some influence on that. I just ultimately had wanted to do it. It never really worked out until the opportunity came back in 2012. So, yeah, he had an influence on it.
For you, coaching golf, is there a biggest challenge that comes with being a golf coach for yourself?
It's something that I really enjoy doing. I think the big challenge is figuring out what makes each kid tick and being able to work with them in a way that's going to help them.
Looking at golf just as a whole, is there a common misconception that you see with the game of golf?
I think sometimes people look at it and think they're not athletes. I can promise you that I challenge any weekday golfer to show up at 6 a.m., play 36 holes, leave the golf course at 7 or 8 o'clock that night, and come back the next day and put up another good round at 6 a.m. I mean, these kids have to work hard for what they do.
So while we have a quick second, could you talk me through what these next few weeks are going to look like for Jennies Golf?
Sure. We'll finish up practice this week on Thursday. They're kind of on their own on Friday. We'll come back Monday. We played a practice trip at Kicking Bird. We played a tournament at Kicking Bird. So the kids all have notes from 5 rounds at Kicking Bird for what they need to do. So we'll spend next week really focused on specific shots that they think they're going to need to hit down there. We'll pay attention to the weather. If it looks like the wind's going to get up, they'll spend a little more time working on shots where they're controlling the trajectory of their ball so that the wind isn't going to affect it as much. But really, it's about staying in the same routine and not getting in front of ourselves.
Well, Coach Port, thank you for joining us today, and best of luck as the postseason continues. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to meet a Jennies golfer who finished in the top 5 in the MIAA Women's Golf Championships. Nicole Rallo joins us right after this. Welcome back to Sportspage. In this next segment, we'll be joined by Jennies Golf senior Nicole Rallo. Nicole's a native of Wentzville, Missouri, and a graduate of St. Joseph's Academy High School. Recently, Nicole tied for 4th at the MIAA Women's Golf Championship and was named to the MIAA All-Tournament team with a 54-hole score of 231. That's 18 over par at Meadowlark Hills in Kearney, Nebraska. We welcome Nicole Rallo to Sportspage. Nicole, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start with your recent MIAA Golf Championship. Overall, how do you feel about your performance tied for 4th?
I was pretty proud of myself this week. I recently have had a hip injury since the fall, and on the first day I was struggling pretty much with that. Kind kind of affected my focus, but then the next 2 days I got myself locked back in and was really proud of how I finished.
You're talking about that first day adversity. You shot 82 that first round, but then bounced back with 76, 73 in those final 2 rounds. How did you bounce back from that?
Well, the course is hilly, so that doesn't help my hip injury, so it kind of affected my focus a bit. I was more focused on the pain I was in. I wasn't as focused as I usually was, but once that round was over, I left it at the course and I was ready for the next day. Was way more confident and used that confidence throughout the rest of the rounds.
So you're talking about that pain as you improved round after round in that tournament. Was there anything like evident that got better as well, like swing looked better or short game was better? Was there anything like that?
My swing was definitely struggling throughout that week, but I was just able to manage with my focus and mentality. My short game also picked me up a ton. I was able to make more putts when I was more focused, and yeah.
You're talking about that course, Meadowlark Hills, being hilly. How else did you feel about that course? Did you like the course overall? How did you?
I did. I liked the layout of the course. It was hilly, but it was okay. If anything, the weather is probably the hardest part about it. It was really windy the first 2 days, which was a bit of a struggle for me, but I was able to manage and we got through it well.
So in postseason golf, are there any nerves for you, especially as a senior? Are those all gone? How does that work every tournament?
I think that there's always going to be nerves, but it definitely just looks different. Like my nerves versus freshman year to now is definitely different. I feel a little more confident. My focus is definitely just in different areas where when I was younger, I was more like go, go, go. And now I'm able to take it shot by shot, and my focus is just more narrowed.
You're talking about shot by shot, that golf ball. What's the ball that you use and why do you use that one?
I use a Titleist Pro V1. It has a Jennies logo on it. I put pink and black dots on it and a pink line.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Could you talk me through a long tournament? How do you get through a 3-day tournament? How do you stay fresh day after day?
Recently, especially with my hip injury, it's been really difficult. I've been really scared of the long rounds, especially 36-hole days, but honestly, just a lot of rehab. I use a stem machine now for my hips, but just, going to bed early, taking my meds, and getting my hips as good as they can be for the next day is what my main focus is.
Talking about those 36-hole days, how do you get through such a long day of golf while you're in that moment?
A lot of pain meds. I also just staying focused as much as I can be. There's been a couple rounds that were rougher where I ended up crying a bit because of the pain that I was in, but having coach by my side and just focus on the main goal is the most important for me.
So as you go through a tournament, those 36-hole long days especially, how do you eat during those days? How do you stay energized?
Well, I'm pretty bad at that. I'm not very good about eating during the round, but I definitely try to get in a Gatorade or two and a lot of water. I pound water. But I'm so focused during the rounds that I don't even think about it, which is a bad thing. I definitely don't recommend. But as soon as the round's over, you can catch me finding a burger or sandwich right after.
You're talking about staying locked in during a round, looking at the academic side of things, especially when you're gone for 3 days like you were for the MIAA Women's Golf Championship. How do you stay caught up on that side of things?
I've always prioritized just being in communication with my professors. I meet with them at the beginning of the year and meet with them right before I leave. Just staying in constant communication with them has been a huge part for me. I also have a planner that's color-coded, and I'm very organized when it comes to school because I've recently, in the past couple years, I found myself struggling to stay on top of it, but I've learned my lesson, and now I have a good routine.
Jennies Golf at the MIAA Women's Golf Championship went back to back to back now as you took the title. How did that one feel?
This one is definitely a little bit different. As Coach mentioned, it was easier. I wouldn't call it easier, but it was just different. In the past, we had a 20-stroke lead, and we went all the way to winning it by 1 shot. This year, I just think the focus was different. It was just we were more locked in on what was important, and we didn't let the emotions and the mental stress get to us as much, and just took it shot by shot, and we were able to get the job done.
This season, it's a smaller roster, 6 golfers on your team. Has that more tight-knit group helped lead to where you are now?
Absolutely. I was on a team freshman year with, I think, 13 girls, and then to have 7 and now to 6 has been a dramatic difference, but this is the closest I've ever been with a team, and I am beyond blessed to have these girls, and I think that it's the most special to be a senior with them.
And your sister Mia is on this team as well. Is that special to have your sister here with you?
Absolutely. I started my high school career pretty much with her, and I'm ending my senior career with her. And it's meant everything. It's the closest that we've ever been. And being able to experience all of her success and her be a part of my success, it's just been a dream come true. And I'm going to forever be grateful for these opportunities.
Do you feel like Mia followed you here a little bit? Like, do you feel like you're part of the reason that she came?
Absolutely. I have to take credit as the older sister for that one, I think. She's been all about family, and she was a little nervous coming into college, and I think having me there was a little bit of a push. She definitely also fell in love with Coach Port just as much as I did. He just has everything that we've ever wanted. And he's funny, but he's also determined. He wants the same goal as her and I. So I think that was also a big part.
And you just talked about this a little bit, but looking at yourself, what was the reason you came to UCM?
Definitely Coach Port. My recruiting process looked a little bit different than everybody else's, but he was the only one that wanted me pretty much. And thank God that he was the only one that wanted me.
So this season, your scoring average is right around 75. How do you feel about that number?
Good. I feel pretty good about it, but with my hip injury, I feel like that I definitely could have improved in areas with a little more preparation, but at the same time, I'm defying a lot of odds right now with this injury, and I'm beyond proud of just being able to play and get through these rounds.
The next event on the horizon is the NCAA Division II Central Regional. How does your game feel going into that tournament?
Right now, I feel good. I'm getting my hips ready. I'm getting my swing ready. I'm feeling good.
Are there any minor adjustments that you make at this time going into that tournament, or are you kind of set where you are?
After the conference tournament, with my ball striking not being where I really want it to be, I think I'm going to more focus down on that, maybe get in contact with my swing coach at home. But other than that, I'm just going to stay focused, stay to my routine, and get what I need done.
So what exactly do you do for that ball striking to make it better? Any drills you normally go to, or do you always go to your swing coach? How does that work out?
I have a GC quad with us at school, so I will probably use that, get a couple numbers. If I'm not feeling good about something, I'll verify with him. I'll either text him or call him, and he'll verify with me what he thinks, and then go back to like basic drills that I've done for the past couple years.
And you're a senior for Jennies Golf. Are there any big goals that you have for the remainder of this season?
Get through the season as best as I can with the injury, get my team to where we want to be, and I want to finish strong.
We were talking about some UCM connections, especially between you and your sister and Coach Port. Your uncle, Craig Neslage, also played baseball here at Central Missouri. Was that a connection at all to this school prior to coming?
Absolutely. He was beyond excited when we told him that we were looking into going to UCM, so he was really pushing for that one, which was awesome. And just having the connection, and he'll name drop people that I'm like, oh yeah, they're still here. So it's been nice, yeah.
As a skilled golfer, I bet people come to you all the time asking for different tips and stuff. If someone came up to you and was like, what is the key to scoring low? Is there an overall key that you could tell them?
Oh gosh, I don't think that there's an overall just one answer to that. I think it's definitely person dependent, but I'd be happy to give them a quick lesson or some advice if I can.
And talking about that kind of side of golf, do you have like a pet peeve that you see out, especially at Mules National, that people do?
Oh my gosh, yes. Club throwing. That one is that, and just like obnoxious yelling. Like, we are on a golf course. Like, it doesn't need to be a library, but screaming and yelling and throwing things is a little unnecessary, in my opinion.
Do you see a difference between the club throwing like the Tiger Woods club drop? Is there a difference there?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've seen a couple people chuck their clubs into their bags. I've seen them snap them in half. I've seen them go into the water. I've seen it all. And it's not a good sight. So, yeah.
What do you think is a common misconception around especially NCAA Division II women's golf?
Definitely just being at a public course. I think being a woman in general in golf is definitely something that people don't respect as often as I thought that they would. A lot of older men are asked to play through, and I'm like, well, you should probably see us tee off first before you ask that. So,
looking at your academic side for another quick second, your major is listed as in business. What drew you to that major?
My dad's currently in business, and I just felt kind of drawn to that. I feel like I'm better suited in sales, and I wanted to get a basic understanding of that, and then I'll continue that with my MBA here next year.
And earlier we talked about how your scoring average was right around 75. Looking at those numbers, what's the lowest you've ever gone?
I believe my lowest round ever was a 67. I think it was 3 under par, which in college, yeah.
So as we just have a few more moments here, what has this Jennies golf program meant to you?
Oh, wow. It's meant everything to me. I have grown as a person, a player, and just an all-around individual. I've learned how to be a leader. I've learned how to, defy the odds with a really intense injury. Overall, I'm really happy with why I came to UCM, and I'm coming out with it with so many lessons and just an all-around better person and better player.
Well, Nicole, congratulations on all of your success already, and best of luck as you continue in the postseason this year.
Thank you.
Well, that does it for the final episode of this season for Sportspage. There's so many people to thank for all of this coming together. Big thank you to everyone behind the scenes, scheduling, planning, fixing problems. That'd be Josh Tomlinson, Roy Millen, Tim Orr, and our sports information directors at the University of Central Missouri, Ryan Anderson, Jason Ketz, and Jason Orr. And another big thank you to our whole production crew, from camera operators, audio, teleprompter, our different directors, Jeeves, practicum students. They're all students here at the University of Central Missouri who have helped all of this come together. And another thank you to you, the viewer, for your support in making this show a success this season. And lastly, I'd like to thank our guests today, Coach Chris Port and Nicole Rallo, for joining me. I'm Brad Hadank, and this has been Sportspage.